Your project has spent 90% of its budget. The status report says on track. Both of those can be true at the same time, and the project can still be heading straight off a cliff. There's one number that would have told you the truth months ago. 3 letters. Most status reports never show it. By the end of this, you'll read it in one glance, and you'll never trust a green dashboard the same way again.
This is the number the whole exam leans on, so let me set the stakes honestly. Welcome to the process domain, the technical heart of the PMP, 41% of everything they test. We're on task 9, evaluate project status. And status has a math half and a paperwork half. Today is the math, earned value. The reports and the metrics that carry it get their own episode next time. Here's the whole idea before any formula. To know if a project is healthy, you need 3 numbers, not 2. Planned value, what you scheduled yourself to have finished by today, measured in dollars. Actual cost, what you've truly spent. And earned value, the honest one, the budgeted value of the work you've actually completed.
And notice which one experienced managers skip. They watch 2 numbers. How much of the budget is gone, and are we past the deadline? Money and calendar. Both feel like control. Neither one asks the only question that matters, which is how much real work did we get for what we spent?
That's the trap. Spent versus planned is blind.
Completely blind, and here's why. Imagine you're halfway through the calendar and you've spent exactly half the budget. Sounds perfect. On plan, on budget. But what if you've only finished a third of the actual work? You feel fine, right up until the day the math catches you, and by then it's too late to fix. Earned value is the number that catches it on day 1 instead of month 6.
Make it 3 questions, not 2.
3 questions. Planned value asks, where were we supposed to be by now? Actual cost asks, what have we paid to get here? And earned value asks the one that nobody else on the status call ever asks, what did we actually get for the money? Drop that 3rd question and you are grading a project on effort and spending, never once on delivery. That's how a team that is busy and burning cash can look healthy while it quietly falls apart.
Take it out of the office for a second, because everybody has lived this one. You're renovating a kitchen. $20,000, 8 weeks. You're at week 4, and you've paid the contractor $10,000, feels halfway. Then you walk in and all that's actually done is the demolition and the rough plumbing. Maybe a quarter of the job. You plan to be half done. You've paid for half. You've earned a quarter. Every homeowner who has ever been burned knows that gap in their stomach before they know its name.
That gap has a name. Earned value.
This isn't a new idea either. We ran this experiment 60 years ago. In the 1960s, the Defense Department was running programs so big and so complex that contractors could report on budget for years and then surface a surprise measured in the billions. This is the man who pushed hard numbers into the Pentagon, Robert McNamara, the systems analysis era. The fix they landed on was earned value, and it proved itself first on the missile programs.
The Minuteman missile program, specifically. Earned value worked so well there that in 1967, the Defense Department wrote it into doctrine, 35 criteria that every contractor had to meet. They called it the Cost Schedule Control Systems criteria. The clumsy name hides a simple move. They added a 3rd element, earned value, to the 2 everyone already tracked, the plan and the actual cost.
2 numbers to 3. That's the entire invention.
And it stuck, because it worked. That 3rd number turns a vague worry into a defensible sentence. Not, I think we might be over. Instead, we are heading $25,000 over, here is the arithmetic, and I knew it at the halfway mark. On the exam, that's the difference between the panicked answer and the professional one.
And don't file this under defense trivia. The moment a project has a budget, a schedule, and someone who will be held to both, earned value applies. A software release, a hospital wing, a marketing campaign, a kitchen remodel. The Pentagon just happened to be the first place the projects got so large that guessing stopped being survivable. The math they landed on is the exact same math that tells you your $20,000 kitchen is quietly becoming a $25,000 kitchen in time to do something about it. So hold 4 things and we'll spend the whole video earning them. There are 3 base numbers. 2 of them, spent and planned, are the ones everyone already watches. The third, earned value, is the one that makes the other two mean something. And every formula today is built out of that one honest number.
If you want to drill this instead of just nodding along, there are free practice questions and free flashcards waiting at certs.professorerica.com. The earned value questions are exactly where people lose easy points. Go take them after the video.
Because here's the promise. By the time we're done, a scenario can hand you 3 numbers and you'll produce cost health, schedule health, and a defensible final price tag in under a minute without flinching. Lewis, before we open it up, give them the one question this episode has to answer.
Gladly, you've spent half your money and used up half your time. Are you on track? Hold that question, because the honest answer is not the one your gut just gave you.
Quick, honest ask while we are here. If this has been worth your time so far, hit like, then subscribe and ring the bell. I know everyone asks, but this one is free, and it is how a small channel like this actually grows. To pressure test the math, we've got Professor Ashford at the desk today. He's here to help us stress the answers. Ashford, welcome.
Glad to be here. Happy to poke at anything that looks too clean.
So let me pay off Lewis's question with real numbers. Erica, 1 project, 1 budget.
Picture a software build. The total budget, the budget at completion, is $100,000 over 10 weeks. We're at week 5, exactly halfway through the calendar. The plan said we'd be halfway through the work too, so the planned value is $50,000. We've spent $50,000, so actual cost is $50,000. On the 2 numbers everyone watches, this project is perfect. But now the honest number. When we inspect what's genuinely finished, it's only 40% of the work, not 50. So earned value, 40% of the $100,000 budget, is $40,000. $40,000 of real budgeted value delivered, against $50,000 spent, and $50,000 we were supposed to have earned by now.
Quick gut check before the reveal. We've spent $50,000 and earned $40,000. Over budget or under?
2 subtractions, and earned value goes first, in both. Cost variance is earned value minus actual cost. $40,000 minus $50,000 is negative $10,000. Negative means over budget, we spent $10,000 more than the work we got is worth. Schedule variance is earned value minus planned value. $40,000 minus $50,000, again negative $10,000. Negative means behind schedule, we're $10,000 of work short of where the plan wanted us.
Hang on, both variances landed on the exact same minus 10,000.
Same number, completely different meanings. One is dollars over budget, the other is dollars of work behind. They just happen to match here, and the exam loves a scenario where they don't.
And that's the pattern worth tattooing on the inside of your eyelids for exam day. Earned value first, then you subtract. Subtract the actual cost, you learn about money. Subtract the planned value, you learn about time. Negative is bad, positive is good, 0 is dead on plan. Same shape, both times.
Careful though, that schedule variance came out in dollars, not days.
And that trips up almost everyone the first time they meet it. A schedule variance of negative $10,000 does not mean 10 days late. It means $10,000 of planned work has not been earned yet. Earned value measures schedule in the currency of work, not in days on the calendar. A cheap task can be badly late and barely move this number, and an expensive task slipping a little can move it a lot. If a scenario asks how many days behind you'll finish, that's the schedule network from last episode. This number tells you how much work you're behind, priced in money.
It's a genuinely strange idea, and it's worth sitting with, because the exam baits it. The schedule performance index we'll get to, 0.8, says you're getting 80 cents of planned work done for every dollar's worth the calendar expected. That's a pace, not a date. Pace and date only line up when the work is spread perfectly evenly, which it never is. So read it as an early warning gauge, then confirm the actual finish date against the network.
2 numbers, 2 questions. Put them side by side.
1 card, cost on the left, schedule on the right, and earned value starting both sentences. If you can rebuild this card from memory, you can answer most variance questions on the exam cold.
There's just one soft spot in all of it, and an honest teacher names it. That earned value number depends entirely on how you decided the work was.
Which is exactly my problem. The earned value number is just a guess someone typed.
Exactly the risk, and it's why you never let percent complete be a feeling. You make it a rule the team can't fudge. Credit 0 until a task is fully done, then 100, nothing in between. Or credit value only when a hard milestone is signed off. Earned value is precisely as honest as your definition of done, so the professional move is to nail that definition down before the work starts, not argue about it after.
There's even a little menu of those rules, and the exam likes to drop the names in. 0-100 is the strict one, no credit at all until a work package is completely finished. 50-50 gives you half the value the moment work starts and the other half when it's done. Weighted milestones hand you chunks of value as named checkpoints get signed off. Different projects pick different rules, but the principle is identical. Decide how you earn credit before anyone starts, and earned value stops being an argument and becomes a fact. That's the real discipline. Objective completion rules turn earned value from optimism into evidence. And once it's evidence, it does something the two-number view never could. It sees the surprise coming.
Which is the whole reason it exists.
The reason has a face. The C5 Galaxy, the largest plane in the world at the time. In the late 1960s, that program ran about $2 billion over its estimate, the first military aircraft ever to blow past $1 billion overrun. It went to Senate hearings in 1969. For years, the reports looked fine. Spent versus planned looked fine. Nobody was tracking the third number, so nobody saw the wall until they hit it.
And that's not ancient history, it's the exam's whole worldview. A cost variance of -10,000 at week 5 is a small, cheap problem. The same trend ignored until week 9 is a catastrophe. Earned value doesn't make projects cheaper. It makes the bad news arrive early enough to still do something about it. And there's a decision hiding in those two matching numbers that the exam loves. Over budget by 10,000 and behind by 10,000, which do you attack first? The instinct is to grab whichever is louder in the meeting. The professional move is to go back to the objective. If this is a fixed price contract, the money is your throat. Protect cost. If it's a hard market window, the date is your throat. Protect schedule. The numbers tell you the size of each problem. The business tells you which one you're allowed to trade away.
So the takeaway from this desk: 3 numbers, 2 subtractions, earned value leading both. -10,000 on cost, -10,000 on schedule. This project is over budget and behind, and we can prove it in one line at the halfway mark while it's still fixable.
Now the question changes. Not are we behind, but how badly and where does it end?
So we're over budget and behind schedule, both by $10,000. But a variance has a weakness. $10,000 over is a rounding error on a $10 million project and a disaster on a $50,000 one. The number alone doesn't tell you how bad it is. For that, you divide instead of subtract.
Same 2 pairs, same earned value on top. You just divide now.
The cost performance index is earned value divided by actual cost. 40,000 over 50,000 is 0.8. Read it out loud. For every dollar we spent, we got 80 cents of real work back. The schedule performance index is earned value divided by planned value. 40,000 over 50,000, again 0.8. We're moving at 80% of the pace the plan assumed.
And an index reads itself once you learn the rule. Over 1 is good, under 1 is bad, exactly 1 is dead on plan. A cost performance index of 1.1 means you're getting $1.10 of value per dollar ahead on cost. 0.8 means you're bleeding. And because it's a ratio, it's scale-free. 0.8 is 0.8 whether the budget is 50,000 or 50 million.
That's why the pros quote the index, not the variance. The variance tells you the direction. The index tells you how hard you're being hit.
Put both indices on one grid and the project's whole health is a single dot.
Cost health runs up the side, schedule health runs along the bottom. Top right is the dream, ahead of schedule and under budget. Bottom left is the nightmare, over budget and behind, and that is exactly where our project sits, with both indices at 0.8. The other 2 corners are the subtle ones. Ahead of schedule but over budget means you bought speed with cash. Under budget but behind means you're hoarding money by moving too slowly. One dot on this grid, and you already know which conversation you're about to have.
And here's a fact the exam quietly rewards. Of the two indices, cost performance is the one the professionals trust most as a predictor. On real programs, it tends to settle early and then barely move, so the efficiency you're running a fifth of the way in is, more often than not, close to the efficiency you'll finish on. Which is a sobering thought, and exactly why the forecast we're about to build takes that number dead seriously.
And the index does something a variance can't. It predicts the ending.
This is the forecast, the estimate at completion, and it's the part the exam loves most. If we keep performing exactly as we have at 80 cents on the dollar, then the whole $100,000 budget of work will cost the budget divided by the cost performance index. 100,000 over 0.8. $125,000. We committed to 100,000.
So, at the halfway mark, the overrun's basically already decided?
Not decided, visible. And visible with 8 weeks left is a gift because you can still act on it. That's the whole difference. The math says we finish at 125,000 unless we change something, and now we know in time to change something. 2 more fall right out of that. The estimate to complete, how much more we'll spend from here, is the final forecast minus what we've already spent. 125,000 minus 50 is 75,000 more to go. And the variance at completion, budget minus forecast, 100,000 minus 125 is negative $25,000. That negative 25 is the overrun in writing with 8 weeks still left to react to it.
Keep those two forecast numbers straight, because the exam swaps them on purpose to trip you. Estimate at completion is the whole picture, the total the project will cost from start to finish. Estimate to complete is only the road ahead, what's left to spend from today. One is the finish line, the other is the distance still to run. Sponsors ask you for the finish line. Your team plans around the distance still to run, and the point of a forecast is not to be right. It's to be early. That 125,000 isn't a prophecy carved in stone, it's a warning you still have time to answer. Cut scope, ask for more budget, or reset the promise, but you do it now, at week 5, while all 3 doors are open, not at week 9 when the only one left is an apology.
Bad news early is a gift. Bad news late is a resignation letter. That's the whole pitch. A $25,000 overrun seen at the halfway mark.
One honest caution, because the exam tests it directly. That estimate at completion assumed the trend continues. There are 2 other versions from the very same data. If the 10,000 hit was a genuine one-off, a burst pipe, and you expect to return to plan, you use actual cost plus the remaining budgeted work. 50,000 plus the 60,000 of value left is 110,000.
And if both your cost and your schedule are dragging and you expect both to keep dragging, you divide the remaining work by cost index times schedule index. That pushes the forecast to about 144,000. Same 3 numbers, 3 different endings, from 110 to 144,000. The exam is testing whether you pick the formula that matches the story, not whether you can punch a calculator.
Just use budget over the index every time. Simplest. Usually right.
Usually, but not always, and that's the trap. Budget over the index assumes today's efficiency is your destiny. If the scenario tells you the cause was a one-time event that's fixed, that formula overstates the damage and marks you wrong. Read the story first. Is this our permanent pace, a one-off, or a double drag on cost and time? The story picks the formula, and this is the exact skill PMI names. Not my opinion, their words. Look at the status task in the outline.
Develop project metrics, analysis, and reconciliation. Measure, analyze, and update project metrics, that is earned value, in PMI's own words. This episode is the metrics half of evaluating status. The reports and artifacts that carry these numbers to the sponsor, that's the paperwork half, and it's the very next episode.
The numbers are the diagnosis. The report is the prescription. Both are task 9.
And this is not a chalkboard exercise. A modern program like the F-22 fighter was tracked this way in real time, cost and schedule indices reported up the chain while the jets were still being built. When a program that size drifts, earned value is how the drift shows up as a number somebody has to answer for, long before it's a headline.
So carry the divide out of this scene. Index equals earned value over the other number. Over 1 is winning, under 1 is losing. And the same index that grades your past forecasts your future, which is exactly what a status review is supposed to do.
So we can compute all of it. The last job is reading it fast, because on exam day you won't have time to reason each one out from scratch. Professor Ashford's back with us to help turn all this into a reflex. Ashford, we've got the numbers. Give people the shortcut.
Happily. The good news is you don't memorize 8 formulas. You learn one pattern and it generates all of them on the spot.
4 rules, and they cover every earned value question they can throw at you. Rule 1. Earned value always comes first. Rule 2. If you subtract, you get a variance. If you divide, you get an index. Rule 3. Pair it with actual cost, and you're talking about cost. Pair it with planned value, and you're talking about schedule. Rule 4. Positive or over 1 is good. Negative or under 1 is bad.
Run it live. A question gives you a schedule performance index of 1.1. Rule 3. Index built on planned value, so it's schedule. Rule 4. Over 1, so good. You're ahead of schedule. You didn't memorize a definition, you decoded it in one breath. That's the whole game, and it's faster than any flashcard.
There's one more number worth knowing, because it answers the panic question. Can we still recover?
The 2 complete performance index. It asks, from here on out, how efficient would the remaining work have to be to still finish at the original budget? Take the work left, budget minus earned value, 60,000, and divide it by the money left, budget minus actual cost, 50,000. That's 1.2. To land on budget now, every remaining dollar has to buy $1.20 of value.
And here's the gut punch in that. You've been running at 0.880 cents on the dollar all project. Now the math says you'd suddenly have to run at 1.2 to save the budget. Going from 0.8 to 1.2 is not a pep talk, it's a fantasy. When the 2 complete index climbs far above your current index, that's the number telling you honestly the budget is gone, reset it, don't promise a miracle.
That's the honesty the whole method is for. Now picture the baseline it all rides on.
Planned value isn't a straight line, it's an S-curve. Work ramps up slowly, roars through the middle, and tapers at the end, climbing to the full budget by the finish. Earned value is your real progress drawn against that curve, and actual cost is your spending drawn against it. 3 lines on one chart, and the gaps between them are every number we did today made visual.
Which is the moment to be honest about when this is worth it. Because earned value is not free ceremony, it earns its keep on big, cost-loaded, contract-heavy, predictive work, where there's a real dollar baseline and someone will answer for it. On a small self-organizing team, a burn-down chart and velocity tell you the same story with a fraction of the overhead. Forcing full earned value onto a 5-person agile squad spends more effort measuring than the measurement gives back. Match the tool to the project.
That's the balanced answer, and it's testable. The exam wants you to know earned value cold and to know when a lighter tool serves the same purpose. Worshipping the method is its own kind of wrong answer.
And when it's ignored on work that truly needed it, you get a monument to it. Berlin's new airport. Roughly 9 years late, and the cost climbed from about 2 billion euros to well over 6, 3 times the plan. For years the outside world heard on schedule. A live earned value picture doesn't prevent trouble, but it makes a slide like that impossible to hide, because the third number stops agreeing with the story long before opening day.
So let's drill it. Fast answers. Cost performance index of 0.8 means what?
Over budget. 80 cents of value per dollar spent.
Schedule variance comes out positive. What does that tell you?
Ahead of schedule. Earned value beat planned value.
Budget 100,000, cost index 0.8, and nothing says the trend will change. Fastest forecast of the final cost.
Budget over the index. 100,000 over 0.8. 125,000. That's the project we tracked all episode, and the numbers called it at the halfway mark.
And at a complete index that comes back at 1.3. What is that telling you?
A red flag. Finishing on the original budget now needs 30% more efficiency than you've managed the whole project. The further that number sits above the pace you're actually running, the louder it says reset the budget, don't promise a miracle.
Harder one. One-time equipment failure, now fixed. Which estimate do you
Actual cost plus the remaining budgeted work. Not budget over the index because the cause is gone, so the trend won't continue. The story picked the formula.
Exactly right. And that's the difference between someone who memorized 4 formulas and someone who understands one honest number.
Professor Ashford, that was the stress test this topic needed. Thank you. Take us out.
Glad to help. Hold one sentence and you'll get these right every time. Earned value is the truth number. Subtract it for direction, divide it for severity, and let the scenario, not your habit, pick which forecast you trust.
2 ideas do all the heavy lifting, so hold on to them. Earned value is the one honest number, the budgeted value of work truly done, and every formula today is built from it. Subtract for a variance, divide for an index, pair with cost or schedule, read the sign. And the same numbers that grade where you've been also forecast where you'll land, which is the entire job of evaluating project status.
And next time, the other half of task 9. The reports, the dashboards, and the status metrics that carry these numbers to the people who decide.
If this made earned value finally click subscribe, it genuinely helps us keep making these. And the free practice questions and flashcards are waiting at certs.professorerica.com. Go earn the pass.
Before you close the tab, one question for you. On your last project, did anyone ever actually measure the value of the work that was done, or did you only track the money spent and the calendar? Tell us in the comments.
3 numbers, 1 honest picture, and enough warning to still change the ending. That's the whole job. See you in the next one.